Okay, well, welcome everyone. I am Betsy Minnich, and I work with universities and colleges that subscribe to PolicyMap. PolicyMap is a large geodatabase that makes it easy for you to visualize the data that we have available through our tool. We were launched in 2008 as a service of Reinvestment Fund. And a little bit of background on Reinvestment Fund. Reinvestment Fund is a nonprofit community development financial institution, and it finances homes and schools and businesses, supermarkets, and projects that help to create opportunity for people and communities. So it is essential for you to know that PolicyMap is really a tool that was created for people to easily look at data on a map and visualize what was happening and make decisions based on what they could see. It was also built as a tool that was meant to make it an easy way to find and visualize data and incorporate it into their own work. So let me just get started and show you a few things from our main PolicyMap webpage that I'd wanted to point out, and you can take more time to look at on your own time. One of which is our data. From this data directory, we have an entire matrix that answers a lot of questions that frequently come up when we do a demonstration. Number one is, what categories of data do you have? And you can see over on the right-hand side that we have data related to demographics, incomes and spending, housing, lending activity, quality of life. This often comes up, and another question that frequently comes up is what's available from what source. And indeed, a lot of our data does come from government resources. So the census and the ACS, the American Community Survey, from the community, from the CDC, from BLS, so a lot of different government organizations. But we have a data team located in Philadelphia that is constantly going out and curating and standardizing and cleaning this data, always looking for new sources of data, unique data, and data that's requested from not only our colleges and universities, but from our other subscribers, subscribers who happen to be, maybe public health organizations or government organizations or cities or counties who are using our data to make their decisions as well. So you can easily go in and take a look and display the data that's only available for those people who have a paid subscription. You can take a look at the subscription-only data, and we aim to be extremely transparent. So we do tell you exactly where it's coming from, and we do give detailed descriptions of the data as well. So some of the data that would be only accessible through, in fact, your trial or through a paid subscription or university license would be some of the data from Boxwood Means, some of the data that has to do with, that comes directly from PolicyMap and Reinvestment Fund, so information about density and distance to public rail, information on access to supermarkets and grocery retail outlets. So just keep that in mind, that you have access to all the data indicators. And if there's ever a question about how granular the data is and how far it goes back, you can certainly take a look. Additionally, we have an academic web page, which will be of interest to you because it will answer some questions for you about how other universities are using PolicyMap and what other universities are using PolicyMap. We have some webinars and videos from a professor from the University of Pennsylvania, a professor from the University of Delaware who is using PolicyMap to teach his sociology class on environmental injustice. There's a great web example here, or a video example, of how he's going in and he's looking at the populations that are living in a close proximity to brownfields. So he might be looking at the non-white population, or the population who have a lower income or who have less access to high quality schools, and where they are. So keep in mind that there's some great examples here. There's a school, or the Seton Hall University is using PolicyMap in about 12 different classes. And one of the ways that they're using PolicyMap is in their School of Public Health. And Professor Ann Hewitt is using it in her Managing Community and Population Health class. So also some great information here. And we do try and update this with information about some sample syllabi, some sample maps that have been created, and just some really good information. So feel free to take a look at this academic webpage. And then there's some other great resources we have here, one of which is our gallery. And from within this gallery, we have some really interesting customer stories. And some really great blogs that, again, have been written by our data team. And they are there for all of our customers to show exactly what's available and where the data is coming from, or answer any questions about the data as well. So keep in mind that this gallery is here, and there's some really good case studies here as well. Now, finally, before I enter PolicyMap, I just wanted to show you that under support, if you forget every single thing that I told you today, that we have a great support page. And on this page, there are tutorial guides to how to create maps, tables, reports, 3-layer maps, how to use our data loader, and how to download PolicyMap data for other uses. So if you're going to import it into other statistical software, or an Esri product that requires a lot more training, then this would be a great place for you to learn how to take our data and pull it into other sources. And also, we do offer twice weekly training sessions online for free. So I will go ahead and get started unless there are any questions. And I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the University of Tennessee's trial site. And you'll notice up in the upper right-hand corner, there is an option for you to individually go in and create an account based on your email address and a password that you create. And this allows you to go ahead and save your work, and you can view your saved work, and you can share your work with others, but not have it out there publicly. So keep that in mind. Also, there's a way for you to go back and look at data that you've uploaded as well. So you can always create an account. Also, in this upper right-hand corner, you'll notice that we have a link to the data directory, a feedback button, and help support buttons if you have questions, as well as a link to how to cite your data. Let me just go and shut down something. I'm sorry. I'm going to force quit this one thing. I apologize. I just don't want any interruptions while we're working. Okay, here we go. So there is information about how to cite your work using either APA style, Chicago style, or MLA style. So let's go back and let's look at the UTK site. The first thing I'm going to show you is viewing a map. When you're doing a search on PolicyMap, you're actually doing a search for the entire United States, and only the United States. That happens to be one of the questions we get quite a bit. But from this location toolbar, you can enter an address or a geography and click on the magnifying button just to see the exact geography that you're interested in. So if all that you want is Knoxville, you can zoom right into Knoxville. If you wanted to search by another geography, perhaps you have a census tract number, a block group, you're looking for a particular school district or state district, metro area, this pull-down menu will allow you to do that. So if I'm going to do a search for anything, I can simply go across these categories. And if I'm just looking at population density, for instance, or homelessness, I can get this on a nationwide level. And as I zoom in, I'm going to get better data. So for here, I'm going to go ahead and let's start with Knoxville. Oops. I don't know why I'm having trouble typing today. And we'll take a little bit of time to look at some of the categories of data that are here and the ways that you can look at the categories. These data menus have two different categories, really, or maybe three. One of which is data layers. And this will list, these data layers are really thematic data layers that are used to color the map. So if what I was looking for was population density, again, I'm going to click on that. I can zoom in, and I can get this data all the way down to the block group level. I can work with my legend, and I can change how it's shown or the years that it's available. I can change the colors if I want. I can change the ranges. But when I click on any one of those bubbles, it's going to, number one, show me population density for that block group all the way up to from census tract to the national level. If I'm going to look at race information, Again, when I click on any one of these block groups, it's going to show me the data for that specific block group. I have the ability to put this data in a table, get a report for this block group, or to download this data. So from here, I can pull that out. And again, I can view it. Maybe I want to look by census tract. I want to look at the percent change. So I can work within my legend to really show exactly what I need to see for this area. So you get the idea that there are these data layers. There's some really great ones. There's one that shows you predominant race and ethnicity. And you can see down to, again, the block group, exactly what's happening or what the racial or ethnic makeup is of that block group. I can take a look at something like language excluding English and Spanish. So I can actually see different ethnic enclaves in a specific area. And if I ever have questions about where this data is coming from, and in this case it's census data because we're just looking at demographic data, I can link directly to here and it's telling me exactly where it's coming from and the years available. And I also get a link in the title that is going to explain how the data was collected and how it's shown. So here's that's some of the demographic data. There's data on household composition, data on the family types, election data for your political science faculty and researchers, and data related to religions. Under incomes and spending, you're going to see per capita income, median family income. You're going to see information about people in poverty and be able to pull that out. And there's also information about income inequality. So if I'd wanted to see what the different household incomes are for a specific area, it's going to give me a breakdown. And 35.69% of the people living within this census tract make less than $25,000. And if I have questions about exactly what the Gini index is, I can click on the title again, and it's going to give me a very clear and precise explanation. So the good thing is that if you have questions about where to find something on PolicyMap and you have a vague recollection that this data is here, we recently, within the past year, have added this find button. So if I'd wanted to look at something like plumbing, here I can pull up the estimate percent of housing units that have complete plumbing facilities without having to search. And that will allow me to pull it up quickly and easily without having to memorize what's in each one of these categories. So here, there's some great information within incomes and spending that will be of interest about access to the SNAP program, access to free and reduced lunches, bankruptcy filings, food insecurity. The food insecurity data is something that's unique to PolicyMap. In fact, we just or updated our limited supermarket access data as well. Ooh, do I have a question here? I have a question, and that's something from someone asking about whether or not we have information related to pets and animals. And that is something that's come up before, and I will ask our data team if there is if there are any plans to add that sort of data. But thank you. Keep the questions coming. It makes it more interesting for me and for you, I'm sure. As we move into housing data, you'll see that not only are there data layers now, but we see data points. So there's information on home sale prices, the median values of homes, and you can, again, zoom in and zoom out to see, where the more expensive homes are within specific areas, and you can change to see exactly, specific areas. So part of the great thing about a tool like PolicyMap is that it's very intuitive, and you can simply work within this legend to make changes and zoom in and zoom out and create these dynamic maps. As you look through lending, there's a lot of information about mortgages and small business loans and small farm loans and banked and unbanked and underbanked households. And under quality of life, you're going to see information related to crime, to broadband internet access. And again, you'll probably have questions. Where does this data come from? This comes from the FCC, and you can see how far back it goes, simply and easily. So there's never any question about where it's coming from. Okay. As we move through the quality of life, you'll see there's information about travel time to work, distance to mass transit. And as you move in through economy, you'll see information related to residents by occupation, jobs and industry, business vacancies. And as we go through these categories, hopefully what's becoming more and more clear to you is that this is a tool that is multidisciplinary. So there are many different programs. I know that the University of Tennessee at Knoxville is a large doctoral research university, but we have data and maps that not only are good for architecture and design, but for other programs like social work, like nursing, like economics, public health. Even I understand that you have a retail, hospitality, and hotel management group. So it's a way for each one of these disciplines to take advantage of the data that's within here and visualize it. As we go through the menus, you see that there's information related to school enrollment. And we can do this. Maybe we want to look for just Knox County. And maybe I want to do it for a specific address. So maybe I'm looking at for just the area around UT Knoxville. Let me see, 37. Oops. Of course that didn't work properly. I'm going to look at your zip code and do it that way. Oh, here's a hint on how I should do it better. Sorry about that. I'm just going to put in your zip code and we'll be able to pull you up. And here we are, right by the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. We're looking at the business vacancies around. And as you can see, as you click around, you can see for this block group, it's 30%. This block group, 17%. And so a lot of universities not only use this, use our tool within the library, but they might use it for their Office of Community Engagement and for outreach. And this is all great information. So I know that we have a longer than usual extended trial at UT Knoxville, so I highly recommend you spend some time looking through this and sharing this with your professors and researchers. So I'm going to do a map. Let's do a map of school, or actually educational attainment, and we can do less than 9th grade. And again, you can see exactly what's there by block group. And then we could take a look at school performance data. So here I've added data points to my data layer, and I can add as many points as I want. If I wanted to put community colleges or libraries or Head Start centers, I can do that as well. And from within here, I can color code the great schools and see, the 1 and 2 being schools with lower test scores, and the 9s and 10s, or the blues being the ones with higher test scores. And it's a pretty telling map. And you see that you can click on any one of these data points, and it's going to give you the detail for that specific school. This is for level 6 to 8. School rating is a 1. Here are the scores. Let's see, it's a little bit, and you get the idea that you can click through. And what I can also do is I can do a number of things. Number one, if I wanted to pull out a list of all of these schools, I could create either a region or a polygon and pull that all down. So I'm going to draw a custom region for this area around the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. And let's see if that's going to, let me create a new custom region. Okay. And I'm going to assemble it. And I can do this by census tract. I can do it by county. If I do it by census tract, I simply just click on the tracts that I'm interested in. Oops. And then I save it. And I have this region that I can save and work with. And if you notice, there's this little icon down here that looks a little bit like a horsey head, or at least that's what I'm told. You can see a list of school performance or see a list of Head Start centers. And here I want to go. I'm going to take a look at this Head Start centers. And it pulls out all that data for me. So keep in mind, for many of these data points, unless the licensors don't allow us to do it, you can download a list of what's there for the regions that you create, and that you can create custom regions. You'll notice that I assembled one. You can also draw a region, or you can do a radius around a specific point. Okay, let me go ahead and reset my map. And I'd like to show you a few more examples. So let's go ahead and we'll just take a look at Tennessee as a whole. And we can take a look at some of our health data. And this area is really something that's been growing and has become greatly important to us. And we've been adding a great deal of data related to health. You'll notice under health status, there's information related to specific diseases or chronic conditions. In the case of certain conditions like asthma, you'll have data not only from the CDC BRFIS, which is Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, but also 500 cities data. What's great about this is that it's for very small geographies. So right now I'm looking at it statewide, but this BRFIS data is actually available down to the census tract. So if I'm just looking for Knoxville again, you'll note that I can zoom in and see all the way down to a census tract exactly what's happening there. So for this area, which is northwest of your school, there's 11.84% of adults reporting to have asthma. Maybe I'd want to take a look and see what community health centers and lookalikes are there as well. And I can map that as well. I can map it by operating hours and see what's there. So for your nursing program, for your public health, for your sociology and social work programs, this is really good data for small geographies. And it's also there not only the births data, but for the city of Knoxville, it's there for the 500 cities. And 500 cities data was a joint research project between the CDC and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation for the 500 largest cities. And here we're just looking at it for the estimated percent. So you can pull that up. So again, if there's a specific area that you're interested in, or a specific professor or researcher who's looking at a specific disease, I encourage you to take a look here and see what's there. There's some information related to birth and prenatal care, looking at mothers under 18 years old, mothers 18 and 19 years old. And this is going to be state and county level for that. And once again, it just depends on how the data is collected and who it's collected from. Information about hospital beds, hospital facilities, and you can see exactly what's there again. So as we click through the health layer, you'll notice that there's going to be data related to opioid use, prescription rates. Again, this is done state and county-wide, so if I'm going to look at Tennessee as a whole, you'll see, and if you click on a specific area, it's going to tell you 107 per 100 people with opioid subscriptions. Prescriptions, I'm sorry. Can you tell it's later in the day for me? Then there's other information, behavioral risk factors, fruit and vegetable consumption, alcohol and tobacco use. It's always fascinating to take a look at drinking around college campuses. Let's take a look at Nashville. I'm not going to pick on Knoxville for this one. And they're doing okay. Actually, we're looking at its state. Let's take a look at city. Not bad. Here we go. You can take a look at information about alcohol and tobacco use, limited sleep, access to farmers markets, healthy foods, medically underserved areas. So again, it's really going to be a great opportunity for you as subject experts to look through this and see what data is there that will be of interest to you and your colleagues. As far as federal guidelines go, one of our newer and more popular data sets are these opportunity zones, and where you can see the designated and eligible tracks. If I'd want to take a look at this for maybe Memphis, and zero in and see exactly what's there. And if you have questions about opportunity zones, you get a full explanation here, and you can link to the, we actually have a blog posting that will give you a full overview of exactly what a qualified opportunity zone is and how the program works. One of the data sets that goes hand in hand with the opportunity zones would be the social needs index. And I'm going to go ahead, I believe that's in the analytics, but if you go ahead. And this is an index that shows the ranking of social need. And if you click on any one of these areas, and let's go back to your city and really zero in here. So the darker green is going to show you that there's a greater social need within that area, that there is 69% of the people living in poverty, that 37.4% of the homeowners are burdened with this within this area. So it's a great way to identify areas of need within a specific group, and also look at that when it comes to opportunity zones as well. So do I have any questions? Just let me take a little peek. All right. So like I said, I highly advise you to go ahead and take a look at these different categories. And if there's something that you're not seeing that might be of interest to you, certainly let us know. There's lots and lots of really good stuff here. So actually, one other one I'll show you before I show you how you can use our tables and 3-layer maps in Data Loader. There's also these historical risk maps. And this is one question that often comes up is whether or not PolicyMap does have historical data. We don't go back as far as another mapping tool that does show census data back into the 1900s. But we do have these homeowner loan risk corporation maps. And this is, if you've heard of redlining, these are allowing you to see exactly those areas that were designated as, redlined areas. And you can see the polygons within there. And it's actually very interesting to look at these risk maps overlaid with the areas of social need. So keep that in mind. All right, so let me show you a few things here, one of which is the ability to save, the ability to print, and the ability to download your data. So if I wanted to take this map and print it out and use it within my within a paper or within a PowerPoint presentation, we do have a very high quality image that you can print and save from within here. You can use the area on the left-hand side to customize these maps and create exactly the map that you want. So keep that in mind. It's a really high quality image. The other thing I want to show you is, let's go back and let's take a look. Let's create a new map. I'm going to do a map on, let's take a look at school enrollment. Let's take a look at public and preschool. And then maybe we're going to take a look at Head Start centers, and we're going to take a look at libraries. And as I'm looking at this, if I'd wanted to share this data or download this data, I can go ahead and I can download the layers and the points together. And then I can do it for a predefined location. I can simply and easily do this for the whole state of Tennessee. And I can do it by census tract or by county. And then I'm going to be able to pull down that data matched together. And it's going to give me a CSV spreadsheet that's going to give me the percent of people 3 or older enrolled in nursery school and preschool, and it's going to give me the Head Start centers as well, and libraries. So downloading this data and the ability to download this data and to pull it into other resources or to pull it in for your own use is one of the benefits of PolicyMap. Additionally, I can share this, and I can share this to through a link. I can email it, I can embed it, or I can share it via one of my social media sites. So through Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. So keep that in mind. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Let me go ahead, and I wanted to show you something nice about PolicyMap, and that is not only are there maps, but there are tables. So for all this underlying data that you've been looking at, you have the ability to go ahead and maybe I wanted to look at, median value of homes, and I'd wanted to take a look at that for specific locations, either cities, counties. Maybe I want to take a look at Knox County. I want to take a look at Jefferson County. I'm pretty sure there's probably a Jefferson County in every state in the United States. So let me find, let's try maybe Anderson. Here we go. Maybe I want to take a look at Davidson and Shelby. Oops. So just another way to look at the same data. And also we have handy links here that are going to show you the rankings, so you can always pull that out and see, who's at the top of the list, right up there with Nantucket and New York, and then who's at the bottom of the list. So just another handy way to pull out that data and to visualize it. You can look at changes across time. You can change the variable or look at percent changes. So keep in mind that not only can you view this data on a map, but you can also view it in a table. The next thing I was going to share with you is that you have the ability to create reports. And by far the most popular report that is there for PolicyMap is the Community Profile Report. But we do have a brand new report called the Community Health Report that was developed with the help of Seton Hall University, and they were using it for their community health needs assessment. So this is something that is just county level, and I'll be happy to share this with you. It's a dynamic report that generates rather quickly and pulls up data related to the categories you see across the top. So here, population data, healthcare access, health behaviors, general health, morbidity, mortality, food security. As I click on any one of these areas, it's going to give me the data that I'm looking for. So the estimated population, it's going to show you the changes over time. It's going to show you, when you mouse over, it's going to show you the exact area, the exact figure for that area. Additionally, you're going to be able to download this directly from here. So you can do this and pull this data directly out. I'm going to go ahead and show you that there's access to healthcare data. Again, you can go here and download the information on primary care physicians for that area. Also, you can download a list of drug and alcohol treatment facilities, and everything's linked, so you can see exactly where the data is coming from. A lot of this we went through when I was showing you some of the healthcare categories, but it's brought into this really nice report. And again, it's something that is created dynamically and updated as soon as the data is updated from PolicyMap. So I will send you a sample of this as well. Okay. This is something that is available for subscribers only. That's why I wanted to send you a sample. Let me move on. If there aren't any questions, I'll just take a peek and show you how three-layer maps work. So three-layer maps are going to allow you to go into PolicyMap and find hotspots. Maybe you're looking at this for grant applications, or you're looking at this for site selection, but you have the ability to go in and take a look at an area that meets up to 3 criteria. And that's what's available on the current platform. That will be increased down the road. Here, if I take a look, I can do a search on the non-white population. And with this slider or with this, I can go ahead and I can play with this. Maybe I want it to be up to 40% non-white. Maybe I'd want it to take a look at incomes and spending, families and poverty, or per capita income. And again, I can play with this. And I want to see where there's an area of population with a per capita income less than $50,000. In this case, looks like I can go down to maybe even $20,000. And as I click on these areas, it's going to find the areas that meet the criteria that I'm putting in. If I'd wanted to take a look at where there's a large incidence of a specific disease. So maybe I'm looking at COPD or diabetes. And I'm looking for, 10% or more of the population with diabetes. And as I click on these, I can go ahead and pull out that figure. And again, it's really just a matter of, playing with the sliders and figuring out the exact percentages. And often when you do this type of search, not only is it good at that really local level, but sometimes it's nice to see on a state level. This area in Western Tennessee. It's really telling. So again, these 3-layer maps are a great way for you to see exactly what's going on, and they can be even enhanced with data related to hospitals and nursing facilities. There's hospital quality of care data, and I can pull that out. Again, I can go back to Knoxville. And what you'll notice is that we aim to be really easy and simple to use so that students can go in there and immediately take a look at the data without having to learn a new software or how to use it. And they can go in and quickly visualize, where there's a population who don't have access to, who might have a high incidence of a specific disease, who might not have access to education, and find that quickly. So keep that in mind. And again, you can click on any one of those data points, get the data, or if you knew the name of the actual hospital that you're looking for, you could just go ahead and type it in and pull it up quickly and easily. So let me peek and see whether or not I have any questions. No, I do not, but let me move into a few other things as long as we're looking at this map. Some of the interesting things that you might not have noticed is that you do have map boundaries that are constantly being added and enhanced by PolicyMap. Not only are there state and metro areas, but you're going to find that the boundaries are there for census tracts, and even as they change, and block groups as they change. There's going to be data related to congressional districts, so you can take a look and see, where they'll be redrawn and where they are right now. This is always a fascinating map to look at for Philadelphia, which is where we are based, because it shows lots of nice squiggly lines. It's great for a political science professor who wants to teach a little bit about gerrymandering. So keep that in mind. Within these boundaries, you also see data related to watersheds and prime farmland, community development block groups. There's also flood areas. So community development block grant areas. Lots of good boundaries here that you can display on your map as well. So keep in mind that those boundaries are here. I'm going to go ahead and reset my map. And I want to show you one final thing, if you all have the bandwidth for it. There is a question about whether or not faculty and students can use these maps in conference presentations. And I would think that the answer there is an emphatic yes. We'd be happy to have you, use this within your curriculum, within presentations. And there is, citing information there as well. So definitely. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show you just a quick view of the data loader. And with our data loader, you have the ability to upload unlimited data points of your own and overlay it with our data as well. So you can either add points directly on a map, or you can upload a spreadsheet of points. So if you have a spreadsheet, you can just call it I have a spreadsheet of schools. You can make it accessible to everyone or not, or just yourself. You can import this, and let me see. Here we go. You can upload an unlimited amount of your data into a spreadsheet, from a spreadsheet, and pull it into PolicyMap. And you can choose your icons and upload it, and the geocoder will come back down and add the latitude and longitude for you. So I will, since we are running out of time, be sure to show you or send you the tutorial on exactly how to do that, if that's something that you feel that you'd like to take advantage of. So I feel like I've shown you a good overview of everything that's there for PolicyMap. I'd really like to encourage you to definitely let me know if there are questions that come up during your trial. If there are specific groups that you'd like us to do something to cater a presentation to or to provide information for, we'd be happy to do that as well. So does anyone have further questions? Well, what I will do is we do have a recording. I will be sure to work with Alyssa to get that to you. And hopefully you'll feel free to reach out to us or to PolicyMap if there are ever any questions. Thank you so much for your attention. And hopefully I didn't give you too much information, but just the right amount. And I hope you have a great rest of the week.